Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. We're going to go ahead and do a highly requested, long-awaited gameplay review of Taco Combz. I think I'm saying that right. I believe that's right. I keep calling it Combz. So we're going to go ahead and do a review of this. I'm going to walk you through just essentially the basics, what you need to go ahead and get started, actually jump into the game, show you around the game, talk about a few strategies that you could possibly use, and just really give you an overall review of the game and give you my thoughts about it at the end. They do have a season 2 that's coming up here very shortly. Season 1 is about to wrap up. I'll show you those details here shortly. It's less than a week to go ahead and finish season 1. And then season 2 is going to be early December. So this is going to go ahead and be released before season 1 ends and also before season 2 begins. And we're also going to do some follow-ups because season 2 of Combz has some really, really cool additions to it, including renting items where you can go ahead and rent NFTs from other players, which allows you to go ahead and play at a lower cost of entry, which a lot of people in the community have been asking for. So they're going to go ahead and implement that in season 2. Before we jump into the video, I know I have to do everyone's least favorite part of the video and let you know this disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please make sure you do your own research before you jump into any project. Don't take my word or anything that's said in this video as financial advice or advice in any way. I'm just a gamer playing a game and reviewing games as part of this. I am not telling you to jump into any project or anything along those lines. Do your own research. Make sure it's right for you. Go ahead and pause this video and read this thoroughly before we jump into it. All right, so let's get back to the video. Let's go ahead and talk about the game itself and how to play the game. So I'm in the white paper right now, and I'm really not going to spend a lot of time in the white paper. What I wanted to show you is 2 things here, and you can go ahead and investigate the rest of it if you choose to do so. First of all, the tokens that I wanted to talk about. There are actually 4 tokens within the game itself. And they all have different purposes. And I'll show you these when we actually get over to the game itself. You have Hyperium, which is really, it repairs your chain field. We'll talk about chain fields here in a second. And really fills production tanks and really helps with buying NFTs within the game. All stuff that we're going to cover. Oxygenite and Novacom are 2 tokens that help fill your production tasks and also help you buy things within the shop. And then the 4th item is Han, which Han is probably the most important out of them. They're all important in one way or another, but that is the most important because that is what's used in order to increase your ranking in the leaderboard that allows you to get your prizes at the end of the season. Again, we will cover all that. I just wanted to make sure I explained what each of the 4 tokens are. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the NFTs that you're going to go ahead and need in order to just even start the game. It's pretty simple. As far as to start the game, you're going to need you're going to need at least 1 chain field. Then you're going to need space combs to fill your chain field. You can hold as many as you want, but you can only use a certain amount depending on the level of your chain field. Then you have resources that you can either buy ahead of time and burn them into the game, or you can turn your resources that we just talked about, those 3 of the 4 tokens, and then actually make NFTs of those. There's workers that help your production, and there's a few other things that are throughout the game that we'll talk about as far as what's called recasting and things like that. These are the basic NFTs. The way you want to look at these NFTs is the chain field is like owning a piece of land in an NFT game. It's where everything that you're going to have is hosted, and in this game you need it in order to play the game. So think of chain field as a plot of land. Depending on the level of the chain field will depend on how many buildings you can go ahead and put on there. And when I'm talking about buildings, I'm referring to things like that are space combs. I refer to space combs, and at least when I'm thinking of the game, space combs are like buildings that you go ahead and put on the land, the chain fields, and those buildings, those space combs, produce the different items for you, the 4 tokens that we just referred to. Then there's resources. We already talked about that briefly. And the workers are add-ons. They're not needed in order to play a game, but they give you production bonus. We'll show you all those details. But those are the key items. Like when you go over to, if you go over to Atomic Hub as an example, you can get them from Nifty, wherever you want, whatever your preferred marketplace is. What you want to do is you want to go to the Taco project. And then what I did was I went ahead and filtered by CMBZ, and that gives you four areas, which I essentially just talked about. The Combz fields is under Combz.field. That is the land. Then you've got Combz.com. Those are the space combs, which are the buildings that you put on the land. Workers are the extra, and then there's resources. So if you're looking at all in the secondary market for these, that's how you find them. I wanted to make sure that you weren't looking for a separate project for Combz. I keep calling it Combz. So I didn't want you to look for that. It's all under the taco, and it's easily sortable by just putting CMBZ as the filter in there. So what you can do is you can go in there. There's different rarities. There's different categories. Each of the space comms allows you to produce different resources. But that's enough talking. Let's actually dive into the game and show you what it looks like. When you first go into the game, it's going to look like this, minus I already have a chain field in there. I wanted to, as I normally do for the gameplay reviews, I wanted to go through and actually play the game for a little bit so I kind of know what I'm talking about, and then give you my opinion at the end of it. So when you're looking at this initial screen, it's broken into a number of different areas. At the top here, you have, these are the four resources that I talked about. This is your balance for each of those resources. You have your wallet information and where you can log out, your settings, all that stuff that you normally see in a game at the top of the screen. On the left side, we're going to go left to right. You're going to go ahead and see, this is the seasonal prize information. If I go ahead and click on view, it's going to go ahead and take me to the leaderboard so you can see exactly where you are on the leaderboard. And then you can go ahead and see how much time's left. As of the time of this recording, which is Wednesday or early afternoon, there are 5 days left in the overall season 1. And as I mentioned, season 2 is going to be in early December. So if you miss out on season 1, season 2 is right around the corner if you decide to go ahead and play. And it shows the total seasonal prize. They are giving away 280,000 wax in season 1. That is huge. So there are a lot of people, if I go back to the leaderboard itself, there are a lot of people that I scroll down that will get a portion of this. You can see I'm only ranked 55, but as part of this project, we're going to go ahead and crank that up a little bit. But you can see I'll get a portion of that also. So they give a lot of prizes out. Going again from left to right, this is where your chain fields are going to be listed. You have the option of going ahead and do enlisted or 3D view. 3D views is kind of neat to look at, but not necessary. So you can go ahead and see that. You have the big plot, and then you have your comb, and then you can go ahead and click on and see all your inventory, which we're not going to get to quite yet. But you can see your chain field right here. I like this view. It's a little easier for me to go ahead and see it. You can see the number, the mint number, and you can see if it's active or inactive. Right now it's inactive because I want to go ahead and show you it kicking off. And then I'll show you this at the end. It ends in and basically gives you how much time you have left. And then all the way to the right here, you have a free to play collection. So if you don't want to go ahead and jump in the game, but you want to get some of the resources to do whatever you want to do with those resources, on a daily basis, you can go in here and click the button claim. If you click on claim, it's going to ask you to go ahead and authenticate, and then it's going to go ahead and give you some of the rewards here in a second. There we go. It's asked you to authenticate twice. It confirms, and you can see I got some Hyperion, which actually needs some Hyperion, and I'll tell you why in a few minutes. But then again, in 24 hours, as you can see here, or 23 hours, you can go ahead and claim again. So it's a neat way to go ahead and get some additional items. And then you have events. This changes every time the countdown goes down. So you can get increased items, you can get decreased items. It kind of gives a fluctuation or like a weather style element to the game itself, like seasonal too. It's like winter you can produce less of this. Summer you're going to produce more of this. It doesn't actually call out the actual seasons in there, but it kind of gives you that feel to it. There's a surge in the market. So that is there. And then at the bottom, you have 3 buttons. You have your inventory, you have your shop, and you have your Crystallize, which we'll talk about all those here in a few minutes. All right, we went through the process now of talking about the screen and how to really walk through the game itself. Let's go ahead and set up some production and get moving with it. I have already gone through the process of staking most of my NFTs. If I go to inventory, you're going to see I only have one space comb that's still there. This I'm holding on to for the recasting. I'm going to show you how to go ahead and do the recasting. And recasting is essentially you have the ability to level up or level down your space combs. You might ask, why would you want to level down your space combs? It's foreshadowing. I'll let you know why here in a few minutes. Once we actually get into the production, it will make sense that there are reasons to go ahead and level down your space combs. But in order to go ahead and stake it, you're essentially gonna burn the NFT. The NFT is gonna go within the game, so be aware of that before you go ahead and jump in. It's really trying to make sure people aren't going to jump in and out of the game, exchange your NFTs with another wallet or account. It's really trying to safeguard the overall game economy. So that I wanted to make sure, and that goes with all of the different NFTs that you're going to go ahead and have available for you. Once you stake them, they're in there. You cannot remove, so understand that. All right, that is the inventory. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this. I've already staked my chain field, and that's what you see here. If I click on my chain field, you're going to see all the details about the chain field. My chain field is a level 3, which means I get 3 sections here. And in each of those sections, I have spots for my space combs, also what I call buildings. The thing that you have to remember, and the reason that the recasting becomes important, is each of these little columns that are here are level specific. For example, this first column here is for level 1. The second column here is for level 2. And the third column here is for space combs that are level 3. So if you have 15 space combs that are level 2 and you only have one that's level 1, it makes sense to go ahead and take one of your level 2s and lower the overall level for it so we can go ahead and fit in here. So it is optimized. In order for it to be optimized, the levels have to match the columns. All right. Also, I wanted to mention is the level of your chain field allows you to have the number of columns there. So if I only had a level 1 chain field, I would only have access to one field. Essentially, I would only be able to put 2 space combs in there. A level 2 would give me access to 2 of them. And as you can see, level 3, and as you continue to go up, eventually you should be able to get more of the columns. A few other things that you should be aware of here is right here is the maximum time. It's going to go ahead and run for 8 hours. There is a durability, I guess you could say. So you have a certain set numbers of usages that you can use of this chain field. Once you get that fully used, you'll go ahead and have to repair it, which is going to cost me 4,000 Hyperion, and that's where this comes into effect. Most of the stuff that you're going to use this for is for the repairing, but it can also be used in the shop. And then you can see my status is inactive, and then you have a few other things that we're going to go ahead and dive in here in a second as far as the production, the repair on stake. As you can see, my on stake is grayed out because I have to repair it fully in order to go ahead and do that. And then down here at the bottom is the claim window, which shows you how much resources you're going to go ahead and produce. And then you can go ahead and claim at the end of the time frame. So let's go ahead and start a new production and show you actually how to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on new production, and it's going to bring up more details around my chain field and allow me to go ahead and put different things in there. So as you can see, right here is my level 1 area. You can see it says level 1 down here, level 2, level 3. And in order for your space combs to be optimized, that's what they have to match along with. You can see down here, I have 3 space combs that are level 1. And that's going to become important here in a minute. And these are the ones that I've staked. They don't include the one that I showed you in the wallet. So when you look at each of your space combs, you're going to see the level here. And then you're going to go ahead and see how much time you have left in those. That's basically the durability of the space combs. And then you have the inputs and the outputs. Basically, this costs nothing to run as far as the inputs go, and we'll go ahead and produce 30 of the oxynorite token. This one again costs 0 to go ahead and get started, and gives me 10 of the Hyperion. And this one actually cost me 5 Hyperion to go ahead and run, and it's going to go ahead and give me the leaderboard thing that you're going to want, the 15 Han. That's the token that you can go ahead and increase your ranking on the leaderboard. So what I'm going to do with the first tier here is there's a number of strategies that you could do. If you have enough space combs, there's strategies that you can do where you focus on only producing Han, however you decide to do it, so you can go up the leaderboards as much as possible. There's another option or strategy where you can focus on the Hyperion, because everybody's going to need this in order to on-stake their NFTs. So if you focus on producing that, and you can sell it on the secondary market, and that's another way to go. Or you go with a combination of all three of these and either sell them on the secondary market, or you can go ahead and use them to produce NFTs in the shop, which I'll show you here in a minute. So there's a ton of strategies that you can go through as far as how you optimize your chain field and your space combs. I don't have that many space combs. So I'm going to go ahead and show you just essentially what I'll do here is what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to focus this on creating 10 of those. And then I'm going to take 10 of that essentially and put it towards the Han. You can go ahead and see that there's a little caution sign here. Basically what it's saying is that it's going to run out of resources and end its production early if you don't have the resources available. So in order to really fulfill that, what you're going to do is you're going to scroll up a little bit and you're going to see this production tank here. What the production tank is, that's essentially what you have in holding. It takes from your balance, you put in here, and it allows you to go ahead and produce. So if I want to go ahead and put, say, 100 in here, you're going to go ahead and see that it fulfills, or it fills, or I should say it removes that caution sign that you saw in there. So now this will go ahead and be able to produce the Han, and you're not going to run into any issues with it. I could reduce that, but that's just to show you the example. So what we're going to go ahead and see, and now you can start seeing the output is starting to produce here. I'm going to produce 56 of the Hyperion, and then I'm going to go ahead and produce 80 of the Han as part of this goes. And you can see that empty slots will decrease the output. So you want to make sure that's optimized. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the level 2 side, and you can see that the level 2 can actually use level 1 items, but it reduces the production of the level 1 items. So if I go ahead and click on the 2, you're going to see the same thing. It's going to cost me 24 in order to produce 38. So what I want to do is make sure I have plenty in here as far as my production tank goes. So I put that in there. You're going to go ahead and see this increased from 82 all the way up to 339, but you're going to see that just crossed out a little bit because that's going to show you I have a reduced production because I don't have these filled yet. So let's go ahead and fill these up. You're going to see that this is since it's a level 1, it's going to give me less production, which is a challenge. I really don't have any way around that until I recast the other space comb, which we'll show you here in a second. And then in my third one, I have another option as far as my level 3. So I'll go ahead and click on that. It's going to cost me essentially 2 Hyperion in order to produce 22 of this one. So you can see that it is already filled up because I put Hyperion in here already. And you can see that my production, let me go ahead and remove that. You see how these all have slashes, which means that they are taking a penalty essentially. So if I go ahead and put this back in there, you see those are removed because I have all my slots filled. So if you have a level 3 and you only have 3 space combs, you're going to have a penalty. So in that case, it might be better to have a smaller chain field or a lower level chain field. But as you can see, the way I have this set up right now, it's not optimal, mostly because of this one right here. But I'm producing a considerable amount in here. So the other options you have here are boosts that will help your production get better. First is a worker. This is an NFT on the side. As I mentioned, if you go back to the secondary market, there are workers. They cost 80 plus wax in order to use them. And then if I go back to the game itself, I have one in there. It's already staked. So I click on add workers. You can see they also have usages and they also need to be repaired. So be aware of that. And this is actually going to need Novacomb, which I don't produce any. So I'm gonna have to buy that on the secondary market. So let's go ahead and click on that B. And what he's going to do is he's going to give me twice as much production time. So if I click on save, you're going to see my production time just doubled there, at least my production output. So instead of 8 hours that my space or that my chain field does, it's actually going to bump up to twice as much. So it's 16 hours. So that's that one. And then you have a couple other options for bonuses. You can go ahead, there's event bonuses that you can add in there. That's what the item that I showed before as far as increased production. That changes every 24 or so hours. Then you have the Omni boost. This is where you can put Omni coin in your production to help you boost it. So you just go to add boost. I have 35 or 36 coin here. I'm going to go ahead and add 2, which is going to give me a bonus production boost of 10%. And I apply that. So you're going to see that. It's going to go ahead and add these to it. You can see the total production at the bottom here with all the bonuses. This is just the output production. This includes the bonuses. And then you have ad sponsors. Telling you right now, the ad sponsors is free to use. So there's no reason not to use it other than there may not be one available. So as far as the ones that are available for me, unfortunately, it's this one. I'm not producing any of this, so it means nothing as far as my production goes, unfortunately. But you may be producing it. You may have the space Combz in order to do that. Unfortunately for me, it doesn't. There are other options here. They're just not available for me right now that I would have much rather had as far as bonuses towards Hyperion. But unfortunately, I don't have that. I have to go with the one that's available right now. So go ahead and close that out. And what's going to happen once I hit start production, it's going to run for 16 hours and it's going to produce this much tokens. And then it's going to go ahead and reduce that durability on each of the items, the worker, the space Combz, and also the chain field. So you have to be aware of that. When you're playing it, you're going to have to repair your equipment at some point. So you plan for it, be ready for it. Right now, I'm not ready for it because I'm not producing enough Hyperion. As you can see, I'm only going to get 147 out of this. It's going to cost me 4,000 to go ahead and repair my chain field at some point. So what I may do, let me actually start production before I go into that. In order to start production, you just click on start production. It's going to ask you for the transaction. Are you sure you want to do this? Sure, of course. And then it's started. You can see now it's working and it's going to be ready in 16 hours. Going back to that to be prepared for the next round, or to be prepared to, as far as being able to repair your items. As you can see, I'm not producing enough. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to buy on the secondary market, oops, wrong one, the resources, these resource bundles, and then I'm going to have to go in the game and do what's called crystallizing. And that's down here at the bottom, the crystallize. This gives you the option to go ahead and take resources that you have in game and create an NFT for them, or vice versa, in order to shard that takes the NFTs from the secondary market or that you're holding in your wallet and allows you to put it in game. You can do it with these 3 tokens. You cannot do it with Han. That's why they're getting around, so you just don't pay to buy a Han in order to go up the leaderboards. So you can only do it with these 3. So I'm going to show you an example. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this one in. I'm going to shard this into resources. Basically means turn the NFT into resources. It does burn the NFT. So you can go ahead and approve that, and you're going to see this jump up to 548. And now you can see I no longer have them available. So you also have the option to go ahead and crystallize your resources within the game. Essentially what it does, you can go ahead and take resources from your balance and convert them into NFTs. If I wanted to go ahead and convert 500 of this into an NFT, I would go down here to the bottom, and what it's going to do is it's going to cost me, in order to convert, it's going to cost me 100 Han and a crafting item. We haven't talked about the crafting items much because we're going to get to it. Essentially, the crafting items can be items that you buy from the shop or secondary market. In the case that I have right now, I have a piece of wood NFT. So I would select that and go ahead and process it if I wanted to go ahead and crystallize this. I'm saving the resource and the crafting item for something else down the road. So I'm not going to go ahead and do that, but that's how you would do it as far as crystallizing your resources in game if you choose to go ahead and trade them with other players. So that's the crystallizing. And then last but not least, there is the shop. The shop is where you can go ahead and create different NFTs, not just from Combz, but also from other games. They have a combination with obviously the venues, which is Taco, Alien World right now, they have options out there. I know they've done, there we go, with FGL, with Outlaw Troopers, with Wombat, you can go ahead and get things, just essentially exchanging your production up here and turning them into NFTs of your choice. You can do a whole bunch of things with them. They are limited. So understand that, as you can see here, purchased 1 out of 10. Once that gets to 10 purchased, that's going to go ahead and be gone. And with all these, as you can see, some of them are already sold out. People jumped in and went ahead and grabbed those. So it's neat that you can go ahead and use your resources up here. That's another option you have. You can really focus on producing NFTs if that's your choice. You can go ahead and produce or try and get up the leaderboard, which I'm going to show you how to do here in a second. There's a lot of different strategies within the game as far as how you want to go ahead and move forward with it. So what I'm going to do is show you the leaderboard. As you can see that I have 1,300 Han. And what I'm going to go back to do is the leaderboard, and I'm going to add to it so I can go ahead and increase my ranking. Right now I am ranked 55, and then I'm going to go ahead and add 1,000 to it. So I should be up to, actually we'll add 1,001 to it. So I should be up to rank 51 at the end of this. So let's go ahead and do that. Add now. Let's go gotta actually type it in, 1,001. And you can see I'm going to increase to 51. So let's go ahead and do that. Click on confirm. It's going to disappear from my balance on the top here. As you can see, it went down to now 311. And if I scroll down, I think I have to refresh. Nope, it already updated for me. So I am now 51. So if I continue to do that, continue to produce, I'll continue to move up this leaderboard and get a higher proportion of that overall season reward. So it's up to you what you want to focus on. If you want to focus on secondary markets, if you want to focus on NFTs, if you want to focus on the leaderboard, it's all up to you when you go ahead and play. Just make sure that you understand that when you're going through and you're buying your NFTs, as far as your chain field and your space combs, just to make sure that they all match up and they're as optimal as possible, because that will become a critical part of the game. There is another portion of it, as I mentioned, or I briefly mentioned, the recasting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to the site that allows you to do the recasting. There's a couple ways you can go ahead and get to it. You can either go to the Taco website, which is here, app.tacocrypto.io, or I'll have a link down in the description that takes you directly to the recasting. The way you get to it from the main website is you go to craft, and then you're going to see a number of different categories here, and then you have the recasting. Again, I'll have a link directly to this in the description down below, or you can go this way, whichever you're most comfortable with. And this gives you all the different options to go ahead and level up. As you can see, a lot of these in the front, or you do have the option to go ahead and level down as you go down further with some of these. You can see they're here. They're actually all separated or sorted by rarity up and down. So as I mentioned, we are going to go ahead and show you the level up process. But just a reminder, as far as the level down, the reason why you may be interested in that is if you have a space comb and you have too many space combs that are, say, for example, level 2, you only have 2 slots, but you have 10 level 2 space combs and only 1 level 1 space comb, and your chain field has 2 slots on the level 1 side, you may want to reduce one of your items back down to level 1 just so you can make it more optimized and more efficient in those slots. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grab, it's going to be one of the NFTs that has not been staked. You cannot recast an NFT that's been staked in the game. All right, so we're going to go ahead and click on this first one because that's the one I'm going to go ahead and level up. Once you're in here, you're going to see that you need 2 items. You need a crafting item, and then you need the space comb that is actually going to be leveling. And technically, you need a 3rd item, which is Shing, and we'll get into that here in a second. So what you're going to do before you jump in there, the crafting item, just a word of warning because I got this hit by this one. The crafting item for each of the crafting or the recasting changes on a weekly basis. Last week it was wood for me. This week it is water. I think it was stone at one point. So be aware of that if you don't craft it right away, it may change on you. So just keep an eye out so you're getting the right item. I do have the water crafting NFT, and then I have the space comb that I did refer to. So once you have those in there, we go ahead and confirm to go to the next step. And then you're going to have to choose a venue where you're going to go ahead and craft. And each venue is going to have a crafting fee, and then there's going to be an overall crafting fee. So there's technically 2 fees in Xing, which is relatively cheap in the conversion rate. So be aware of that. You can see each of the venues that are active. It costs 3,000 for the venue. We're going to go ahead and click on Xingland here. And then when you're in here, you're going to see the venue is going to be Xingland. These are the requirement NFTs, and then these are the fees. 3,000 goes to the venue that's hosting this, and then there's an overall crafting fee. So it's going to be 23,000 Xing, again, which is not too much. It's roughly, at the time of the recording, around a little over 2.5 wax to go ahead and craft this item. So go ahead and click on craft. It's going to ask you to authenticate to make sure that you have everything that you need in here. And then we'll go ahead and prove. And you're just waiting on confirmation that it crafted. And there we go. It went ahead and did the crafting that I asked it to do. And now I have a level 2 here. So we'll go ahead and hit continue. All right, and that's how simple recasting can be as long as you have the NFTs and the Xing. The Xing's easy to get. You can get it on the Taco Swap or Alcor Swap, whichever's more convenient for you. Now that we've gone through the game itself, let me go ahead. As I mentioned earlier in the season, Season 2 is right around the corner. So I wanted to give some details around that as far as letting you know when Season 2 is going to go ahead and kick off, which is going to be December 5th. Prior to Season 2 kicking off, they are going to go ahead and have another drop. If you did not have a chance to go ahead and get this past drop that just happened for Season 1 and you want to jump into the game, or you want to get some extra space combs, or you want to do that without going through the secondary market, they will be doing a drop on December 1st at 20 UTC. So what I wanted to make sure that it's slightly different than past taco drops. There are going to be 2 whitelists, and then there's going to be a public for whatever's left over. The first whitelist is the same as it always is. It is the VIP. If you're one of those 100 NFT holders, you have access to one of each of the packs that'll be available, because there's only going to be 2 packs available with this: the whale and the big. But the whitelist number 2 is slightly different. They are actually going with an NTT. If you're not familiar with an NTT is, it's a craftable item that is not able to be traded. So you have to go through the process actually playing Season 1, get the units to go ahead and craft it, and then you can go ahead and use it. What they are saying is that if you are able to get this whitelist NTT, that you will be guaranteed the packs. You basically get to reserve the packs, one of each of the types of packs for each of the whitelist items that you have. They also mentioned this, and I wanted to go ahead and just quickly mention it. If you have 2 of these whitelist NTTs, you will be able to get 2 of each of the packs. So there is no limit to how many of the NTTs that you can have. The only challenge that you have is if you go back to Combz, you have to have the resources to go ahead and do it. So if you go to shop, this is where you're going to be able to access it. And this is the whitelist drop right here. It's going to cost you 5,000 Hun and then 1.5 Hyperium. So that's where you go ahead and get it. It will expire as of the time of the recording in a little over 3 days, almost 4 days from now. But you can go ahead and grab as many. You can see that 127 have already been purchased, but that's how you get the NTTs. You can't trade them. You can't get them on the secondary market. You got to get them within the game itself. As far as the Hun goes, that's kind of expensive, just so you're aware of that. But if you're really jumping into Season 2, it may work out to be perfect for you. You have to just do that balancing between the leaderboard and that. So that will be available. There's going to be 2 packs that are available in this drop. Sorry, trying to find the exact details. I think it's down further. There we go. There's the big pack that comes with 11 NFTs. It's going to cost you 53. And you have a 10% chance of getting a chain field out of that if you don't have a chain field. Or you can go with the whale pack that comes with 16 NFTs. It guarantees you a chain field and 15 space combs. So those are available. I'm not going to go through all the numbers as far as the odds. You can go ahead and check that out. What I wanted to focus on was the change as far as this drop compared to last taco drops with those NTTs that you need to play the game or get the tokens to go ahead and be able to get that NTT within the game itself. Again, this drop is going to be on December 1st at 20 UTC. And essentially the whitelist or the cutoff, the snapshot, however you want to go ahead and call it, is going to be right prior to that. So go ahead and get those NTTs if you're interested in this. Again, not financial advice. Do your own research. Don't just take my word for it. Just want to communicate the differences between this and past seasons. So that is Taco Combz. What do I think of it? I think it's there's more strategy to the game than I had initially expected when it first came out. It does have some stakers. It does have some resource management and balance to it. But you can kind of choose the route that you want to go ahead and get. You can go ahead with straight leaderboard, trying to get as high in the seasonal leaderboard as possible. You can focus on the secondary market if that's one you want to go ahead and focus on, or you can focus on the shop. Try and get as many NFTs out of this for both taco games and also external or third-party games that are out there, and they have some good games that are in here. So I like the concept of it. I'm very curious. They're going to have some changes with season 2, so I'm going to go ahead and do season 2 and show you some of those changes, especially the rental system. So I'm going to do a separate video on that because I think that's interesting. I wish more projects on Wax would go ahead and do the rental portion of it. So that's all coming here. I apologize. This video probably went a little bit longer than I expected, but I wanted to go dive into the details since it's been a long time coming. I've been saying I was going to do this video for a while, so I wanted to make sure I provided as much detail as possible. I hope you all have a great day. Go ahead in the comments down below. Let me know if you're going to be jumping in season 2. Again, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.